Welcome, everyone, and welcome to the Jumpstart Your Business webinar series. Leaving money on the table. Have you ever asked yourself that question? Well, studies show that automating and using your CRM more and dominating the features of it, especially if it's a feature-rich environment, can increase your closing ratios by, according to HubSpot, by almost 37%. So we're going to be reviewing some features that are new, like our credit memo module today, our enhanced credit audit report that has now easier ways to navigate to the credit audit automatically for your customers and be able to send them a credit audit report in an easier way. And our new consultation payment scheduling, as well as some new control features to be able to understand new control features in cases to be processed, to be able to understand a bit more about the pending work, whether you're doing the processing yourself or whether you're outsourcing that processing with ScoreCEO. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is a legal disclaimer. Remember that any opinions that we offer that are any legal opinions here are just our opinions. We're not attorneys. We're not trying to practice law without a license. So we just want to lay that out there. It's all for informational and educational purposes only. So please read the disclaimer. Today we'll be having, I'll have two cohorts today. We'll have Ms. Fida Hamid, which she will go over the credit memo module, which is an awesome module. There's a lot to digest there. But fundamentally, she'll be covering that, and Jasmine will be covering the other topics within ScoreCEO on the enhancements and the new features that we'll be discussing today. This is probably going to be a 2 to 3 part series where we're going to be discussing a lot of the new features that we've released since, I would say since January, most of them that we've now tested, we've put in a production environment, and now we feel comfortable talking to all of our customers about them. So do you have this problem? Do you have a lack of sales, or do you have an unknowing way of how to increase your sales? And it's probably due to a lack of leads or opportunities, right? Well, it's one thing to not have the leads and the opportunities. It's another thing to not really double down on the leads and opportunities by not knowing enough about your software to be able to leverage it enough so that you can handle more leads, more opportunities, and you can increase your sales. Some key statistics here. 10 to 20% of small businesses or individual users in any type of software or CRM software only really learn the core functions of that software. So they only learn 10 to 20% of that. And about 20 to 30% of the features are dominated by the power users. So that's somebody that, in our case, that understands integrations, automation, tag manager, broadcasters, campaign tools, et cetera, how to use Zapier potentially, right? And then only a very small niche of those of those, less than 10%, in addition to the 20 or 30 or 10 to 20, pretty much underutilize other advanced features that probably need some sort of custom coding or advanced campaign segmentation, where you're actually connecting one campaign to another and to another and to another. And you can do that in ScoreCEO so that one feeds the other and your customers consistently engage either your lead, your customer, and in some cases your affiliate referral source. But what it requires is more training, right? All of these require more training, and that's the purpose of these coming webinars. We want you to have that training because it's important. Gainsight, which is a company that, which is a company more of like a systems integrator, that their job is to really figure out why companies that are selling some sort of services are not converting, right? Some sort of a subscription service like credit repair, or some sort of a production service like credit repair, right? What they have found that customers that use over 50% of the product features within the software almost always have a double-digit increase in renewal rates or upsell opportunities. In our case, what that means is that it's gonna increase your leads, and therefore it's going to increase your opportunities and therefore increase your sales because you leverage the software more and you can do a lot more through automation. HubSpot, which is probably one of the first top 3 CRMs in the world, like Salesforce, like Infusionsoft or Keep. Well, HubSpot is one of those big one of those big CRMs, right? And HubSpot also has some internal statistics that say that that sales teams that use more of the CRM features that are better educated, like task management and email template and automation, they complete 37% more sales activities weekly. So the more sales activities that they complete per week, the greater the probability that they increase their opportunities and then increase their sales. That's the importance of this webinar and the coming webinars in the next month or two about the new features that can help you really scale your business, to help you leverage it to have more sales. So what are some of those features? Well, we want to discuss some of the enhancements and some of the features that just help you become a lot better. For example, many of our customers were asking us for a very long time to not only be able to do a refund or a void, right? But they wanted to do credit memos as well. So we built a complete credit memo functionality. We call it the credit memo module, and Masfida today is going to be delving into that for about 10 or 15 minutes so you guys can see what that credit memo module is all about. We're going to be discussing the enhanced credit audit report functionality. Before, you had to go into the credit importer area, import the credit report, and from there you needed to send out a credit audit report, but you really didn't have that functionality elsewhere in the software where you normally live all the time, right? So we've made that a lot easier for you, and we've also improved the quality or the look and feel of that credit audit report. So that Jasmine will be discussing today. The new consultation payment schedule within the workflow steps. Before, we could schedule out and customize when we needed to have the monthly payments taken in the future, and we can customize that according to the customer's needs during the sales process inside their workflow. We had the ability to do that under the billing data review. Now we have the ability to also schedule, not only postpone the consultation payment for 3 or 5 days, whatever is commensurate to your contract, but you can also go ahead and schedule out even further than that to a customized date. And Jasmine is going to be covering that as well. There's a whole bunch of other features as well, like service admin role has been added, enhanced system email controls, so that you can control those one-off emails like all of our other competitors do. They do one-off emails for different areas instead of having a complete campaign manager. Well, we give you now an enhanced control of those emails, as well as some to-do sorting features and other features that we're going to be discussing in the next webinar and potentially a third webinar as well. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Masfida, are you there?
Yes.
Awesome. Can you share your screen and let's get started on showing and teaching our customers what the credit memo module can do for them?
Yep. Okay.
You need to share your screen, by the way.
Let me know when can you see my screen.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so I will walk you through how to create a credit memo and how to apply it to an invoice. So in order to create a credit memo, we will navigate to this credit memo section. And from there, we will go to create credit memo. Then we select the customer for whom we want to create the credit. Select the customer, add reference number, it could be anything. Add some description. We will add the description of service. Then the price. Let's say we want to create credit for $100. Then we will add the quantity, 1 or 2, and click on create. Once we click on create memo.
So Masfida, basically a credit memo is to be able to create a credit and then apply that credit and account for that credit in some sort of a listing so that you can apply that credit to any particular customer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so you can see the credit is created for that customer. And currently the status is unapplied because we have not applied that credit to any of the customer. We have three statuses: unapplied. Unapplied means credit is not applied at all. Applied means credit is fully applied to that customer's invoice, and partially applied means credit is not fully applied, but some of the amount is applied to some customer's invoice. Now, there are multiple ways to apply the credit memo. We can do that automatically and manually. In order to apply the credit memo automatically, we have to go to configuration. From there, we will go to payment settings, and then we can go to credit memo options, credit memo configuration. And here you can see two options: auto apply upon credit creation. It means that whenever we create a credit memo, if that customer has any unpaid invoice, the credit will be applied automatically to that invoice. And the second option is auto apply upon invoice creation. This means if the customer has credit available, whenever the invoice is created for that customer, the credit will be applied automatically. If you don't
So,
want it,
so to just clarify there, on the auto apply the credit apply upon credit creation, it's when you create the actual credit memo itself. And the invo and the other setting would be to apply any pending credit memos when the invoice is created. It's like on a monthly recurring invoice, for example, if there's a pending credit. Would that be the right setting?
yes.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so now we will enable both of the fields, hit save. We will go to the credit memo. We can see that we have created a credit for this customer. If we go to invoice and create any invoice for that customer, auto credit on creation.
Right now, you're creating a manual invoice for a particular customer, right?
Yes. Okay, now you can see that the credit is already applied for $100. The invoice total was 149.5. The credit is applied and the total amount due is $49.5.
And
Now,
it shows that in the transaction log as well.
yeah. Now we have $49.5 pending. If we create another credit for that customer, let's say 20, create. If we go back to the invoice, you can see that the credit is applied again automatically when we create the credit for that customer. Now the total amount due is $29.5. The third way is to apply credit automatically. For that, we have to disable both of these. Let's say if I create credit again for that customer, now you can see it is unapplied, although the customer has one unpaid invoice. Now we can apply this credit manually. In order to do that, we will click on this button.
Before you apply the credit, what if I wanted to edit the credit or print the credit like on a PDF or something?
We can export from this button.
And if I want to edit the credit?
Currently, we can't.
Okay. Awesome.
Now, after going to the credit detail page, we will click on view payment button on this bar. Select the invoice. On the top, we can see the available credit, that is $10. Invoice is selected, clear payment. Credit is applied. If we go back to the invoice again, you can see the invoice credit is applied again. the time. So this is how we can apply credit memo in different ways. And we can apply credit memo to renewal invoices and services invoices and all kind of invoices. And for the split invoices, we have to apply the credit first and then we have to split the invoice. Once the invoice is splitted, then we can't apply the credit memo. That's how it works. And the best use case is to apply the credit memo automatically. This way you can automate your workflow. You don't have to go to each invoice to apply the credit manually.
Got it. Got it. So what you can't do is edit it. Can you delete the credit memo?
No.
No. Okay. So if you create a credit memo right now, you can just not apply it until you need to apply it fundamentally.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Is there anything else that you want to cover inside of the credit memo? Are there any questions that somebody may have on the credit memo for Ms. Fida before we move over to Jasmine? I can't see if anybody's got any questions. Can somebody, Ariana,
No questions so far.
Okay, awesome. Jasmine, thank you for showing us that feature. What is the difference between when you do a refund, right? And when you do a refund or when you do a void of a transaction? Jasmine, are you familiar with that?
Yes. So there is a difference between a voided transaction and a refund transaction. So typically, a voided transaction would be a transaction that you would do before it's actually a settled transaction. So typically, Authorize.net or other gateways, they have a period of time before they close out those transactions and settle them, and then they show up in customers' accounts and stuff like that. So before that happens, that window of time, which typically, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is about the first 24 hours, that window is when, and Joshua, correct me if I'm wrong with the timing, but that window time is when you have the ability to void a transaction versus a refund, which you have it's done after that, right? After that period of time.
Yeah, so a refund with your merchant provider, if the customer decides to let's say cancel like within the first 24 hours, normally that even if the transaction went through, it tagged the transaction and it's like a block hold on it so that the customer can't use those funds until that transaction goes from ScoreCEO through the merchant processor. It's approved because there's enough funding for it. It blocks it off and it holds it in an unsettled batch for 24 hours. After that, after the first 24 hours, it moves into the settled transaction. And normally within the first 24 to 48 hours, that's when that transaction pretty much shows up in your account as a deposited amount because you've deducted that from the customer's amount. So that's why it takes like a day or two for those transactions, for those credit card transactions to show up physically in your account. So the difference between a void or a refund is really whether or not you're returning the funds within the first 24 hours or greater than or after the first 24 hours. So the question is, how long can you do that? Well, with Authorize.net, you can do that up until 90 or actually 89 days, right? So it would be a total of 90 days, including the day of the transaction. After that, you can apply a credit or do something similar to that. And all of those transactions from ScoreCEO can be exported, including the credit memo, over to QuickBooks through Zapier as well. So that's something that you can do and update. We've got customers right now that are sending over invoices, sending over payments on a daily basis to QuickBooks, and they're also sending credit memos as well. All right, so let's go ahead, Jasmine. Why don't you take over the screen and show us some of the other features that maybe some of our customers are unaware of.
Yeah, of course. Bear with me 1 second. Just let me know when you can when you
I
can see
see,
my screen.
I can see the screen, but it's a bit small.
Okay, so I'll zoom it in.
For a 60-year-old.
So I did zoom it in. Just let me know if you can see it a little
Um,
bit better, or should
I,
I?
I can see it. If everybody's okay, if anybody wants to raise their hand and say it's okay, or not, we can make it larger.
Okay.
I guess we can go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so one of the first features that I wanted to go over with you guys was the credit audit report. So, most of you guys that are on the call are already familiar with our credit audit report and how we have the ability to either send these reports out. But previously, in order to locate this credit audit report, it was a little bit difficult because after you imported the credit report, you did have to go back to leads and consumers, locate, the customer, and then use the graph, use the graph to open it up and view the credit audit report. Now we've introduced a different way of doing that, which is right in the import section. So it makes it quite easier for you to, as you're importing and looking at the customer's credit report, you just import it and then it gives you the ability to send it right there and then. After you review and you confirm that report, you'll be able to see the little graphing right where the credit report was confirmed. So you just click on it just like you would do in the other area, and then you would see the credit audit report. We did make some changes and we do have a new credit audit report here. If you are interested in having this released to your system, just put your information in the chat and we'll go gladly to review it with you and definitely, add this to your site. So that's one of the features. Does anyone have any questions on this feature? It's a simple one, but it's one that's uh, a time saver.
Yeah, once your customer, that's the use case for that is, we call it a credit audit report. You all do a credit consultation. That does not represent, the credit audit report is really a document that is interpreting the credit report through specific features that we do when we scan in the credit report, right? But there's a lot more to your consultation. So that one doesn't replace the other. You can give away a credit audit report, and as a lead magnet, for example, right? And use that to attract customers by giving away a credit audit report. Later on, for the complete consultation, you'll probably spend more time with the customer and go through it line item by line item. So that's a good way for many customers to go ahead and leverage their ability to go ahead and give something for free to a customer so that they can come in and not only subscribe to the credit monitoring, which is, by the way, that's a great excuse to get them to join credit monitoring, whether they do business with you or not, right? And once they do have credit monitoring and you give them a credit audit report, all they have to do is enter their payment information, right, and book a call, if you're following a TSR compliant process. And this is just a simpler way of doing that.
Right. So now I'm going to jump into our next feature. It's our new consultation payment scheduling, which is a little bit, it's something that's been asked for. It's been asked for quite a few times. So we're going to go right into that and I'm going to show you guys that new feature. So we've been asked quite often, how can we schedule that first payment? We would like to schedule that first payment, but what's the process of us doing it and if it could be done? Well, we have released that feature that will allow you to be able to schedule in that payment and collect it. So what we're going to do is
When you say the payment, what do you mean? The consultation
the
payment or
consultation payment. Yes,
okay.
I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, I'm going to go ahead and select the plan for someone so I can have a plan in here. And let me just fill out some of this information.
Is that your credit card number?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I have a fake card. Lucia, can you put a card for me on here? I'm sorry.
1 minute.
Thank you. So while she does that, basically the process is you're going to want to make sure, just like everything, that you have your customer's payment plan in there, and you want to go ahead and send out that agreement. So once we get this set up, Mosita, the customer's name is Jasmine
And
Test.
why can't you send out an agreement without without the credit card in there, just to clarify?
You could send out the agreement, you just can't send it out without the it's not more the payment method, it's more the payment plan.
Okay,
You would have to always make sure a payment plan's in there because the contract will require that information. So the system won't even allow you to send it without that information being pre-filled out.
got it.
Done. Can you please check now?
Yes, I'll refresh here. Okay, so here we have right, our customers
Is there
plan.
a pop-up? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that was just to save information. So the plan information is filled out. We have a plan selected. Now it's important that this step is going to be after the contract is, and we're going to send it. As we can see here, we have a schedule to schedule in the fee. So what we want to do is we want to schedule this out, whatever date it is. If there's no scheduling amount, we could automate it to that it will charge after 5 days of the contract being signed. So it's important to understand that the contract does have to be signed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to schedule this out for the end of the month, this payment, and I'm going to go ahead and send out their contract. So basically what I'm doing is the contract was set, and then I'm just scheduling out that first consultation fee, whatever the rate is for that plan, to be processed on the 31st. What this will do is automatically generate that consultation invoice, and then it would run it on the 31st. But do keep in mind that a contract does have to be already signed. If that contract is not signed, then it won't, that payment, even if it hits the 31st, it won't run the transaction since there's not a contract signature on file. Okay, so that's very important. If by any chance they signed after this date, you can reschedule this, so that way it can go out on a different date. So you do have that option. Now, if you do need to reschedule, we have under the payment feature here, where you can always reschedule a payment if it was needed. You have the option to keep the payment information either automatic or make it a manual process. The manual process.
What's the difference between the two, and when would you use one over the other, Jasmine?
Yeah, so the manual process is going to be the process that everyone currently has right now, that it won't automatically create the consultation invoice. It would be based off of this take payment option. Right. The automatic would go based off of whatever date that you have scheduled inside of the scheduling date. Okay, so one would automatically just run that, create that invoice and then run the transaction. And the other one would just not create any invoice and will allow you to wait until it's the appropriate time and then run that transaction. So that would be the difference between the two. Now, in best world, we always make sure that contract's signed. Once it's signed, schedule out that payment, schedule it out, and the payment will go through, it'll run the transaction according to your date. Does anyone have any questions regarding this new feature?
This is very useful, particularly when you have customers that promise to pay, but then when they can't pay for whatever reason, you need to reschedule and reschedule out. You can continue to push that out there. And if you have pending documentation, it won't let you commit a compliance violation, because it won't let you, unless the contract gets signed, you can't move forward, right?
Correct.
So that's a really good compliance tool that's built into your workflow.
Yes. Yes. it will help you kind of stay in compliance. So even if you schedule it, and it will, limit you into the fact that they do have to sign that agreement first. So it
I
helps you
want to
maintain that compliance.
I want to draw the attention on any step as you see it on any workflow step. And these workflow names may be different from your portal because you can customize the names in the
Yes.
configuration area. But nevertheless, within every step, you can open up any step, please, Jasmine. Within every step, remember that you have the ability to apply a tag almost on any step. Can you scroll down? When you
Yes.
apply a tag to a customer, remember that you can have a tag can trigger an automated campaign, and a campaign can be as much as one email or a task, which we call to-dos, for somebody else to execute, or a combination of the two, or it can be a 30-day campaign or a 7 or 8 email campaign, and you can mix and match email and text messaging in there if you have a TextBridge account, right? So a TextBetter account. So you can fire off an automated campaign for every single different workflow step automatically just by tagging that customer with a tag that would be commensurate to the communication you want to send them, because that step has been completed. So that's an option for you to also think about. And we'll be talking about tags and broadcast lists, and we've talked about it in the past, but we're going to try to create some use case scenarios and within the next 1 or 2 webinars as well. Can somebody read that question out there real quick? Jasmine?
Can you set up your own workflow, and how do we do it?
Absolutely, you can. Do you want to go over that real quick, Jasmine? How to
Yeah.
go and customize the workflows? That's a great question.
Yeah, of course. So, like Joshua mentioned, all of these workflows are customizable, and they are located in the configurations bubble at the top right corner. And we have a section called Workflow Settings. If you visit this area, it will show you all of the enabled workflows and the disabled ones. So depending on how you have your setup, you may have some in both. In our display here, we have all of them enabled, which is why we see all of those there. But it will give you the original title, and it'll give you the user title, which would be whatever you switched it out to. So if we wanted to rename any of them, for example, new lead, if I wanted to come in here and rename it, I can always click on the pencil and swap it from, let's say, new lead to maybe personal information. If I make this change, I also have the ability to add in scripts. So if we look at any workflow step here, let me just go into a customer. Each step has an area for you to write scripts. Scripts can be used for either for you to tell your team what they need to do here. You can add
Links.
Links in here, so that way it can redirect them to different things to help them, whatever their area is that they need to fill out in here, or just, however you really want to use as an incorporated in your business. So it's free for you to use however you would like. And you can also add tags to each workflow step. So like Joshua had mentioned, each of our steps here at some area, they'll have tags. So here we have tags, and in each step we'll have tags. Each workflow step, we allow you to add tags. What that does is maybe you have, 10, 15, 20 tags, but having them categorized by a specific workflow step will just help minimize you seeing how many tags you need, and only really focusing on the ones that apply to the specific workflow step that you're in. So I can give you an example, like this is the personal information or the new lead. Maybe we have a campaign that's just for like a new lead nurturing campaign, or maybe just one for missing personal information that we need to gather, and we want communication sent out. Then maybe that tag would just be we can keep it available just in this particular area instead of having it in the other workflow steps. So it's just a way to help categorize that. So I'm just going to save this here, And then we'll be able to see that the original name has been changed from new lead to personal information. So that's how you can change the personal information. But now I'm going to show you how you can disable a few of these and how you can rearrange them to make it best fit your business. So let's say that maybe you don't want to use, maybe need sales pitch. If you don't want to use it, you can definitely always disable it by clicking this minus sign at the end of the screen. So we just click it here and it will drop it down to our disabled section. If I go back to one of our customers here and I just reload, we're going to see that that step is no longer available here for us. So it removed it.
Personal information now changed from new lead to personal information, right?
Yes, yes. So now it's customized to your liking. So if we go back, and you can do that with all of them. But let's say that maybe we want the credit monitoring step to be maybe the second step. Well, if we want to rearrange, we have these arrows that go up and down that we can move them to wherever we want the information to be located. And here, basically what I did was I just moved the credit monitoring step up one, so that way it can be the second step. So if we kind of go back here, we see qualifying as the second step and credit monitoring as the third step. With me reloading here, we'll see that I just moved it up to the credit monitoring step up. So now it's kind of going in the order that I want it to be in the format that I want to see it. So that's how you can really set up and organize your workflow steps to best fit your business.
Awesome. Awesome. Any other questions that anybody may have, or things that may be unrelated to this that maybe we can touch base on right now? There's one more topic we need to cover. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over to, I think, the new cases to be processed widget enhancements.
Yes. Okay. So as we all know, in our dashboard area, we have a section that's called cases to be processed. This cases to be processed will let you see all of your customers that are due for disputes. The default setting that we currently have for cases to show up in your cases to be processed are all cases that are customers only, that have a good billing status, and that they that they're paid console consumer, and that they're not completed or canceled. So those would be the only people
before
that
you
here.
before you move on. So if I had a lead and I wanted to go ahead and start disputing that lead, would it show up here?
No,
Okay, why?
because since it's a lead, it's not a customer yet. So that's just going to help you know, like if you have everything, if you think you have everything ready for them, maybe at some point you don't have something ready for them, and you technically haven't converted them into your customer yet. So maybe
Got
one
it.
of your steps haven't been completed. So we don't show all the leads here because you may have, 100 customers, but you may have 1,000 leads. So we want to just have this focused right on customers only.
Got it.
Okay.
Plus, I'm assuming that could be a compliance tool as well, right? Because if you're charging that customer, you want to make sure that you sent them a contract under consultation with them, as well as taken their fees only after you performed whatever the particular service is, vis-a-vis like the consultation step. You want to give the consultation prior to charging for it, right?
Right. So whatever your, anyone's process is set up, it's how are you going to want it to work. But however, we only really want to kind of focus and see the customers in here. So currently we do have a regular default setting, like you're mentioning, that helps keep that compliance, that, we have to make sure it's a customer. So a lot of
Okay.
these steps are typically fulfilled prior to it being the customer. Now with the TSR and everything, people are getting contract signed and everything prior to, doing that step. So it just helps make sure that they are those customers. But now what we did, we introduced this feature, we enhanced it a bit more, giving you the ability to decide what other criterias are needed during the process to determine if they should show up in this cases to be processed area. So I'm going to open up where you can make any of these modifications. So to do that, we have our configurations bubble up here. We're going to click on it, come down to configurations, and then visit other configurations, and then cases to be processed. Here we're going to see that we have, several the workflow steps, right? That we had on this original screen here. We have these workflow steps that we see
Yeah,
here.
they're not all there, just the critical ones that could cause compliance issues.
Correct, correct.
Yeah, got it.
So by having this ability here, you can determine what other criteria besides the ones that we originally have will determine if this case should show up in the cases to be processed. So let's say that they are a customer, that they've paid for their service, but they have yet provided credit monitoring information for you. Maybe they haven't fulfilled that step. Maybe you did a review with them using just maybe a report that was provided from a mortgage agent or something, and they haven't signed up. You can make that a requirement that field, it needs to be filled out in order for them to show up in your cases, right? So if I was to save this here, what I'm doing is I'm telling the system that now they have to be customers, they have to be in good billing, but they also have to make sure that the completed step of credit monitoring, that the credit monitoring step is completed. If it's not completed, I don't want it showing up in my cases to be processed. What does that do? That just ensures that you don't have processors coming in here and just because they're customers, they're going in and probably checking these clients and they're not ready because they don't have their credit monitoring program established yet. So that's just a different type of scenario that would you can use. But again, you have different options. Like you can say, maybe if the contract is not signed yet, then even though you make it a customer, but if the contract's not signed, then I do not want it to show up in my cases to be processed unless this is done first. So that's a different option that you can use, and all the ones listed here.
So basically, you can customize your criteria to whatever your business process conforms to,
Correct.
based on
Yes.
the sales on the individual workflow of any consumer or lead.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, as the customers grow, sometimes adding these features help keep things a little bit more organized and easier for the processing team, to be able to invest their time in actually working on people that could potentially be worked on versus kind of fishing for the ones that could be worked on.
Yeah, I would assume that if somebody's looking at every single one of those customers on a daily basis to see if they're ready to be worked on, that could be a problem.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Great feature. Any questions about customizing setups to criteria to be displayed inside the cases to be processed widget? You probably will have questions if you all in the future, right? And if you do have any questions in the future, Jasmine, can you put in the chat your the link to book a call either with you or Ariana or Spida, whomever you've chosen to attend to those customers. If you need additional training on any of the things that we discussed today or any other questions that you may have, feel free to go ahead and engage with that link so that you can go ahead and schedule some time and go over that with one of our experts here at ScoreCEO. Well, I think that is all the topics that we're going to cover this week. Next week, we'll probably be talking, it's part 2 of this webinar, and we'll be talking about the new customer service admin role and how to use that. We currently have a customer service role, but now we have an admin role as well. Some of our customers have grown that they need to have these administrative roles in there, and we'll be adding more custom roles as well, so that you all can take advantage of those service roles. Enhanced system email controls, like as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the webinar, we really didn't give a lot of control on. You could customize probably most of the system emails, but really turn them on or turn them off or control them in any other way, or even understand where they were at and how they interacted, it was something that we just didn't offer before. Now we're providing that system email control back to you. This is in addition to our campaign manager, right? We do have some system controls in there. Like one thing that really differentiates us from most other platforms out there is that leads do not normally get a consumer portal on any other platform. It's something that on any other platform, they issue the portal after they become a customer. Well, fundamentally, we always thought that was an error, because what a better place to talk to a customer than in your ecosystem about credit repair, right? And communicate back and forth, not just the results or the progress, but give them the ability to establish a back and forth text type communication or notes or whatever, what we call external notes. Those types of controls are in there. Plus, you could share your social media, some of your Facebook and X social media feeds in there as well, so that customers can see both feeds in one place, right? But on top of that, you want to be able to provide them with a way that they can live in an ecosystem as a lead, not only as a customer. And we give ways to customize the communication in there with your own chat widgets in the banner area. So this is those types of controls let you customize many things, including all of the system emails, not just the campaign emails, right? The new to-do sorting filters. Musfira, can you discuss what we've enhanced, or Jasmine, on the sorting feature, on the sorting filters to help customers sort a lot better for to-dos? Jasmine or Musfira?
Okay, so let me explain. Previously, we did not have a feature to filter the to-dos with their completed date. We added that feature so that CROs can filter the to-dos which are completed with different date range. Other than that, we added a sort by filter in which you can filter to-dos by their title or assigned to and status, and when are they created, when the last created to do and last updated to do, and also the to do status, either they are due today, past due, future completed, and with their assigned to filter. You can filter the to do for one customer only. Let's say if you have 10 users and you want to see the to dos of one user only, then you can also filter that inside to do area.
Awesome. We'll be showing you, thank you. We'll be showing you next week how to also take advantage of of a new variable for comments. If you want to include a comment variable inside of email templates, we'll be showing you how to do that as well next week. New follow me lead consumer display. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but at the top of the lead consumer page, and it's sort of on different pages, now you have like a brief summary of, or what I call like a little heads up display of the status of that customer. Just follows you around from screen to screen. We released that, but then we had some issues with some particular screens where it would just take up a lot of real estate and you really had very little space to work on. We've corrected that, but now we want to go ahead and explain why we're doing that, and where you can have that information, so you don't have to go back and forth and back and forth. It can just follow you around on different screens. And I want to go ahead and see if we have enough time to go over tags and broadcast lists once again, but that we may not have enough time to cover there, and because that's a very extensive topic. In order to do it right, we've got to spend probably a whole webinar just on tags and broadcast lists and different scenarios on how to create and tie them back to campaigns, because that's the real advantage of that, right? And to see the metrics involved regarding click-through ratios and things of that nature with your email. So that's why it's so important to set up your ScoreCEO account with us with Mailgun, which we include in your subscription, by the way. That used to be something that you had to do separately with MailChimp and pay a separate subscription with them. But we that became too tedious, and we just decided to go with Mailgun for many reasons and include it within the fee. So if you attend all of these, these webinars, this webinar next week, we have created the 5 TSR videos, a full video plus the snippets of each video for TSRs that are white labeled. That means there is no brand on it. And these videos you can include in your lead consumer portal. You can use those videos if you want on your web pages if you want. We're going to be giving those away to all of the customers that attend next week's webinar. So any questions that you may have until now? So let's go over some other maintenance here. We released a new blog this week. What is your credit repair and how can your business help clients unlock financial freedom? You can always take a look at that within the ScoreCEO site under the blogs page. And we're announcing at the beginning, when you go into the website, you'll get a pop-up that is promoting the latest blog most of the time. It's a new feature on our website. So please take advantage of it. These blogs are not just to build even though we use them to build our SEO, our organic SEO, we really have some really good webinars. These webinars tend to be anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 words long. I suggest that you guys take a look at them. Some of them are very, very interesting and can help as well. There's many blogs there. We normally release anywhere between 4 to 6, I would say from 3 to 6 blogs in any given month. We probably average about 4 or one per week. Take advantage of the content because the content is free and there's good learning material that you can transpose and apply in your business. Our credit repair business website, we're about to release a new theme, right? So any of you that have a credit repair business website, we've aggregated another theme. We've completed another theme, and we'll be promoting that theme and adding it to the website probably by our next webinar, probably by sometime at the end of next week, but definitely before our next webinar. Take a look at credit repair business website themes, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very nice way to go ahead and change your website look and feel pretty much on a yearly basis. The content can be transposed or moved back or applied to a different theme after the first year. So take advantage of that. It's you can either choose to buy it or rent it out or lease it, I think is what we call it. But you definitely get the serviceability of being able to skin that website. I've seen some CRO. I've been in the business for a long time, and I'm not going to say names, but I had a customer that was with us back in 2013 and 14. When we were building ScoreCEO, and we were probably doing business with Dispute Suite and some other platforms at that time, and we were doing most of our business with all dispute processing. And that customer left Dispute Suite because they're just having a bunch of issues over there, and they came over to us after many years with Dispute Suite. And when I looked at their website on the call, it was the same website they had almost 10 years ago. Our customers, it's good to change things up. That's for don't even consider the customer interaction or user experience. Just think about Google. The more you change you add content to your website, and the more frequently that you do that, and if you do that on a schedule almost, that's what Google wants to see. Wants to see good, relevant content changing on your website, and the look and feel and the videos that you have and all of that participate there. Besides other things organically on that website, it's the foundational structure for customers to be able to find you, right? It's a very sad statistic that when I see that less than over 90% of websites out there will never get seen, or Google doesn't even care about them because it has no relevant content to scan because the foundational structures are off. and there's no change going on. So take advantage of our themes and our SEO services, because that's exactly what our SEO services provide you as a customer. We write 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000 word blogs for our customers, or articles that focus on a keyword strategies that we customize for them according to the service that they purchase with us. And they're not that expensive, and they do increase your traffic over time. And there's no better way to build a following through organic traffic. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's not pay-per-click. That's a momentary thing. You can always force traffic to your website, but you're going to have to force it every single time you want to pitch something to them. Organically, it's like eating. You're going to do that because you have to. If not, you die, right? And it takes a little bit longer, but it's no better way to build that and build a technical foundation and be seen by Google. So take advantage of that. If you need to talk to us about it, reach out to the sales team at Score, reach out to Javier or anybody else at Score, and they can point you in the right direction. Ariana, you may want to put your link into the chat once again. If anybody needs to book some time to get any additional training on the topics we've discussed today, feel free to go ahead and just book a call with Ariana or Jasmine or whomever's link is out there on this call, and we'll happily go ahead and give you that training at no extra cost. I want to mention Naxo. I'm on a mission here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to mention it on every single webinar. Last year, as you know, Credit Repair Cloud was engaged by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, actually the year before that, but they came down with their ruling last year, which was devastating and disappointing, quite frankly, which led to this TSR ruling. It's not a law, it's a ruling. It's an applied it's what their interpretation of the law is and how they've applied it to credit repair businesses, which has made things just a lot more difficult for all credit repair businesses. So there's no unfair application of this, but the reality is that we could have defended this, as we back in the day have defended other things through NACSO, the National Association of Credit Service Organizations. They have lobbyists. They lobby on our behalf, and their responsibility is the association pays them to promote and clarify any misconceptions and promote the use of legal credit repair services and why it's so important for the industry. Right, so they do that, just like the National Consumer Law Center with Chi Wu has all of these videos out there pointing out how creditors and credit reports have all these errors. Well, that's another association, right? And they have another mandate, but NACSO mandate is really to represent us as credit repair business. It's not that expensive. If you've got 1 to 5 workers, it's $49 per month. It's $299 to start. They'll give you and your employees training, literally online and training, and they give you a certificate for that training because you have to take a test based on credit report and operations. They have a few options for that, and if you take advantage of this NACSO code, NACSO 100, you get $100 off of that $299 to start. Okay, I would recommend that you guys join it, because who better to represent us than the people that have the power to do so? If we don't, and this association has decreased in size because I think credit repair companies think that they're not affected by anything. Well, everybody kept doing that back when I was in the credit repair space, and we were a member of NACSO as a provider at the beginning. We had the opportunity to lobby multiple times and defend ourselves before certain privileges were taken away or things were applied to the credit repair space that would have been detrimental to the way we run our businesses today, and they were blocked because we had a lobbyist. By the way, that lobbyist that we had there passed away, and now we have other lobbyists from that same company that represents us through NACSO. So just think about it. Become a member. It's important. Okay, that's all we have for you this week. If you have any other questions that we haven't attended to, you can always join one of our chats on the website or directly from ScoreCEO and just ask away. I'm proud to say that the average time that we attend to a chat request is less than 30 seconds. It could take a little bit more to resolve the chat, depending on the type of conversation or problem or question that you may have. But we're attending to you within 30 seconds or less. And I want to thank Jasmine and everyone and her team and around that. You've done a great job. So until our next call next month, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.